He chose Indonesia over a fortune. His birth flag drops. A single tweet raises Indonesia's red and white. The comments explode. He's ours now. The line between fan and patriot vanishes. Politicians scramble to claim him like a prize. He represents our future. The transfer fee? Irrelevant. What matters is the story. A homecoming. The media spins it as destiny, not dollars. The crowd doesn't care about clubs. Only tribes. Jersey sales explode by 300% in a week. The team's merchandise becomes a symbol, not just fabric. Fans tattoo his name on their skin. The transfer wasn't about football. It was about selling identity, and they bought it. The footballer himself stands in the middle of it all, looking neither surprised nor triumphant. His expression is unreadable. The cameras don't capture his thoughts. Only the chaos around him. He's the catalyst, but who's really in control? Backstage, a team doctor adjusts his glasses, studying a clipboard. His passport is Indonesian now. The paperwork is simple. The psychological shift. Not so much. The brain doesn't just switch flags. It rewires itself to fit the new tribe. The media frames it as a personal journey. He found his true home, but the truth is far more dangerous. The homecoming narrative is a lie. It's a manufactured identity, stitched together by algorithms, politicians, and the desperate need to belong. The crowd doesn't know they're being played. The footballer's agent smiles for the cameras, but his eyes flicker to a private message. They'll never let him go now. The transfer wasn't about football. It was about control. And the crowd. They're the ones being controlled. Social media algorithms amplify the tribal chants, turning every comment into a rallying cry. He's ours. The platforms don't care about truth. They care about engagement. And engagement is currency. The more the crowd believes, the more they spend on jerseys, on flags, on the illusion of belonging. The footballer's first game in Indonesia is sold out months in advance. The stadium isn't just a venue. It's a temple. The players aren't athletes. They're priests, and the crowd. They're the faithful, kneeling in the pews of their new faith. The game isn't about winning. It's about worship. Back in his birth nation, the government scrambles to reclaim him. He's our hero. The opposition calls him a traitor. The media spins it as a betrayal, as if loyalty could ever be so simple. But the footballer, he's already gone. His identity was never his to begin with. It was a product, sold to the highest bidder. The footballer's agent leans back in his chair, rubbing his temples. We didn't just get a player. He got a movement, a tribe, and tribes don't dissolve, they evolve. The question isn't why he chose Indonesia. It's why anyone ever thought identity could be bought, sold, or swapped like a jersey. The camera lingers on the footballer's empty locker room. His belongings are gone. The team's logo is still there, but the nameplate is blank. The space feels hollow. The transfer wasn't about football. It was about erasing one identity and replacing it with another. And the crowd. They'll never notice. In a sterile white room, a young participant sits alone, staring at a blank screen. The camera lingers on their face as they hear a voice say, "You are now part of group." The weight of this arbitrary label settles like a stone. What happens next will change how we understand human belonging forever. Henri Tajfel's experiment begins with nothing more than a coin flip. Participants are divided into groups based on a meaningless trait preference for abstract paintings. Yet within minutes, favoritism emerges. One participant allocates points, their fingers trembling as they decide who deserves more. The line between us and them is drawn in ink, not blood. Tajfel's findings were radical. Humans don't need shared history or culture to form tribes. They only need a label. The experiment proved that identity is a construct, fragile yet powerful. One participant whispers to a friend, "I'd never have done this before the test." The camera zooms in on their shocked expression. The experiment reveals a truth. We are all just waiting for the right label to unite us. Decades later, Muzaffar Sharif's robbers' cave experiment would take this idea further. Two groups of boys, camping in the woods, are forced into competition. Initially, they are just kids playing games, but as the rivalry escalates, tensions boil over. One boy shouts, "They're not even from our town." The camera captures the moment the conflict ignites like a spark in dry grass. What starts as a game becomes a war of belonging. Sharif introduces a shared goal, a broken water pump that threatens both groups. Suddenly, the boys who were once enemies now work together. One boy hands a tool to another, saying, "We need this to fix it." The camera follows their hands as they collaborate, the tension dissolving like mist in sunlight. The experiment shows that conflict isn't inevitable. It's manufactured, and so is peace. Sharif's work laid the groundwork for modern social identity theory. He proved that conflict isn't natural. It's engineered. The boys in the woods weren't inherently hostile. They were taught to be. The camera pans over a stack of old psychology journals, dust settling on the pages. These experiments predicted the passport switch phenomenon decades before it happened. In the 70s, social identity theory emerged as a framework to explain why humans cling to groups. Tajful and Sharif's work showed that identity isn't fixed. It's fluid. The camera zooms into a classroom where a professor writes equations on a chalkboard, her voice explaining how arbitrary categories shape our world. The theory predicted that one day, people would switch passports not for survival, but for belonging. We upload videos like this every day. Subscribe so you don't miss out. Television. The link between Tajful's token allocation and modern citizenship ceremonies is uncanny. In both cases, a small gesture, points given or a passport handed over, creates a profound sense of belonging. The camera captures a handshake at a naturalization ceremony. The new citizens face alight with emotion. The experiment and the ritual share the same psychology. The illusion of permanence through a fleeting moment. Tajful's participants didn't care about the paintings. Sharif's boys didn't care about the water pump. Yet both groups fought and united over them. The camera cuts to a modern stadium, where a footballer kneels on one knee, his jersey emblazoned with a new flag. The experiment and the spectacle share the same truth. We will fight, we will unite, and we will believe, all for a label. The psychology lab and the global stage are connected by a single thread, the human need to belong. Tajful's participants proved that identity is a construct. Sharif's boys showed that conflict is manufactured. The camera pans over a world map, each country outlined in bold. The lines between them as fragile as the experiments that created them. We are all just waiting for the right label to unite us. In the 70s, social psychologists laid bare the mechanics of tribalism. They showed that identity isn't carved in stone. It's carved in moments. The camera lingers on a single coin flip, the air thick with anticipation. The world's divisions are not natural. They are chosen, and so are we. The original experiments were simple: a coin, a painting, a broken water pump, yet their implications are vast. The camera zooms into a modern passport, its pages filled with stamps from different countries. The passport is a modern relic of Tajful's token allocation, a small object that carries the weight of belonging. The experiments predicted the passport switch phenomenon. They showed that identity is a performance, a role we play based on the labels we're given. The camera captures a footballer signing a new contract, his face split between two flags. The line between us and them is drawn not by blood, but by choice. Tajful's participants didn't know they were part of an experiment. Sharif's boys didn't realize they were being studied, yet their actions revealed the deepest truth about human nature. The camera lingers on a single hand, reaching out to shake another's. We are all just waiting for the right label to unite us. The original experiments were not just about psychology, they were about power. The camera fades to black as the sound of a coin flip echoes in the distance. The world's divisions are not natural. They are chosen, and so are we. Your brain blurs self and tribe. The line vanishes completely. Personal survival merges with group survival. The ventromedial prefrontal cortex lights up. It values the group over the individual. Self-sacrifice feels like self-preservation. Fused individuals choose death for the group. They reject saving themselves. The brain calculates. My death equals tribe survival. Oxytocin floods the system. It bonds you to insiders. Simultaneously, it sharpens hostility toward outsiders. Love fuels hate. Scientists call it parochial altruism. You help your own. You harm the other. One hormone drives both impulses. Efficiency is terrifying. The default mode network activates. It rewrites your autobiography. Memories shift to fit the tribal narrative. You forget who you were alone. Childhood memories adopt team colors. Past rivals become lifelong enemies. The brain edits history for belonging. Truth is the casualty. Passport, a jersey, plastic and cloth. The amygdala screams. Survival critical. Symbolic objects trigger life or death circuitry. Tribes meant survival on the savannah. Exclusion meant death. Modern symbols hijack ancient circuits. The brain cannot tell the difference. Before we dissect the manipulation blueprint, protect your focus. The JBL Stereo Super Bass headphone delivers crystal sound for 13,800 rupiah. Link in description. Powerful actors know the code. They manufacture symbols. They trigger oxytocin. They fuse your identity to their agenda. You volunteer your autonomy. Sudden pride in symbols you never owned. Anger at strangers wearing other colors. Memory gaps where history changed. You are the target. Wake up. A stadium erupts in chants of one nation, one team, as flags wave in unison. Behind the scenes, a regime's propaganda machine spins. This is not just football. A player's jersey becomes a symbol of national pride. Sold out in hours, social media algorithms detect the tribal frenzy and double down on outrage. A corporation sponsors the team, rebranding itself as patriotic overnight. The player's passport switch wasn't personal. It was a calculated move. Authoritarian regimes buy football clubs to mask human rights abuses. Algorithms feed us tribal content to keep us divided and engaged. Brands co-opt national identity to sell products. Buy local, be loyal. The blueprint is simple. Divide, amplify, monetize, repeat. How do you spot when you're being engineered for belonging? Look for the moments when belonging is sold, not given. When loyalty is a product, ask who benefits from your division. The game is rigged, but the players keep playing. The next time you feel the pull of tribal belonging, ask yourself, who's pulling? Welcome. Before we begin, hit subscribe so you don't miss our daily updates. Bell next episode. A plot twist you won't expect. Subscribe now. Face screaming in fear.